Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this session with Heriot University, one of UK's largest public universities with 5 campuses in Scotland and Malaysia and Dubai, UAE, and very popular public university with many courses. We have Ms. Hiril Jagani, International Officer for India, South Asia with us today. I'm Ranveer with Combined Company. We are one of India representatives of Heriot University. I just put it in our chat. westfituniversities.com is our website. And we have about 30 plus registrations. I think people will just join as and when they're able to access and come online. The idea is to have a quick 10-15 minute presentation by Hiril and take Q&A after that. Feel free to post your queries in the Q&A chat box, and we can also raise your hands and have a live Q&A. Thank you, and over to you, Hiril.
Thank you so much, Ranveer. Hello, everyone. I'm Hiril. I'm the Manager for Student Experience and Support with Heriot University India team. I'm going to run a quick presentation, which gives you a brief idea about what exactly Heriot is and what are the kind of courses that we offer and what exactly is our strength, which will give you a lot of clarity, and followed by a quick question and answer session. If that's okay, can I go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a minute, please. If you could please confirm if you can see my screen or not.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving further, that's my introduction. That's my contact details, which I'll put it for you in the chat box as well in some time. Talking about Heriot University. How is the name Heriot in the picture? It's because of two people. George Heriot, who is the financier and the benefactor of education in Edinburgh, followed by James Watt, who is the pioneer of steam engine. Together, that's Heriot University. That's a quick brief about how did the name come through. About Heriot University, we're one of the oldest mechanical engineering institution and one of the oldest higher education provider in the UK, established in 1821, with over 200 years of excellence in teaching, especially focusing on STEM-based programs, which is delivered to the students on undergrad, master's, and PhD levels both. We're very rank intensive and again at the same time a very strongly research-led institutions, which I will cover more in detail in the coming slides, which also very strongly focuses on employability. Personally speaking, if you ask me, I personally say that Heriot is basically a combination of 4 elements: forward thinking, globalization, sustainability, consultancy. And that's exactly the chronology which I'm going to be speaking about in the coming slides. Talking about the institution again, one of the strong focuses, apart from the STEM-based programs that we offer, is also focusing on business and textile-related programs that we offer to the students, which is again focusing majorly on globalization. And I'll talk to you about the rankings in the coming slide. We are ranked 235th in the world as per the QS World Ranking 2024 being the official source. So we come in top 250 as one of the prestigious institutions. Very recently, we have jumped up the rankings to between 351 to 400 for the World University Rankings 2024, which means it's basically on a couple of parameters that we're usually judged on. And that's how we've jumped up the rankings again by 100 points to an extent. In terms of the employability, which is our strongest factor, we may not be a Russell Group University, but we are one of the most traditional institutions in the UK, which is again very strongly focusing on employment and connectivity. We ranked 14th in the UK and first in the Scotland for the same. And very recently, there has been an article and there has been a survey which was conducted. And surprisingly and interestingly both, Heriot seems to be one of the institutions which has managed to teach the students in such a way that they progressed in their corporate ladders. And the maximum number of CEOs and MDs were basically Heriot graduates. Of course, it's on the merit of the skill set, but that's what I meant by globalization. That's what I meant by employability. In terms of the salary as well, most of the students usually get employed in the first 15 months of graduation. When I say most, the accurate percentage to that is 85% and more. And that's exactly why we are ranked in top 50 as per the UK University's Complete Guide 2023 being the source as well. Moving further, sometime back, I also said that we're a very research-intensive institution. Most of our research is conducted for the sector, for the professors, and of course, the students take the benefit of putting that as a part of the project as well. And 88% of our research output is contributing towards the sector at different occasions. In terms of the research subjects, very specifically physics, mathematics, engineering, and building and planning, or township planning related curriculum. These are the subjects of research which students usually opt for, maybe as a project or maybe as a PhD subject. In terms of the Sunday Times subject table, which means the Guardian ranking, or in a layman language, it means subject ranking, we are ranked in top 25 in the UK, specifically for subjects focusing on engineering, building, physics, astronomy, and of course, business and management related curriculum as well. Talking about the university, we are a global university, which means we've got 3 campuses within the UK. Edinburgh being the capital city of Scotland, being the primary campus, followed by Scottish Borders and Orkney, which I'll again speak about the specific schools and the campuses in the coming slides. But as I said, because we're a global university, we've got 2 overseas campuses as well, which the students can take the benefit of, majorly in Dubai and Malaysia as well. Undergrad courses usually have a route, which is known as the Go Global programs, which means it's an inter-campus transfers for selective programs, which are heavy with the theory subjects. Any subject which is practical driven may have the restriction of inter-campus transfers, but the student can, probably start with their education, maybe in Malaysia, progress to Dubai in year 2, end the curriculum in year 3, get the benefit of stay back of 2 years as per the UK regulations. That's how the benefit is. And again, we are all the institutions who are partnered, so we don't really have a franchisee, and all the students are considered to be at par and, equal, because you're ultimately an Heriot Watt student to us. So even the degree that the student will get at the time of the inter-campus transfer program, if opted for as a route, will not mention that it's coming from a Dubai or a Malaysia campus. It will say it's a Heriot Watt University student. That's going to be the degree as well. Talking about Edinburgh campus, which is our primary campus, based in the capital of Scotland. It's a 380-acre beautiful campus. Students do have the facility to, opt for on-campus accommodations, if any, and it's going to be a self-catered accommodation. We do have the accommodation strength of recruit, supporting nearing 2,000 students. We are into the construction phase as well, and hopefully for September 24, we will be ready to accommodate additional 300 students to that as well. We're home to the National Robotorium, which is UK's leading research center, majorly towards robotics and artificial intelligence. And TCS is a very strong strategic partner. So we've got the land, TCS has the technology, students can take the benefit of both. And that's how that also becomes a platform for most of the undergrad and postgraduate students to even procure a part-time opportunity, in case if they're looking for one within campus. We've got a Heriot Watt Research Park, wherein majorly the PhD students get the time to conduct their research activities as a part of the curriculum. Edinburgh Business School is one of the largest business schools, and we offer a range of programs available to the undergrad and to the master's students majorly. We are a home to the Orium, which means it is Scotland's National Sports Performance Centre, approved by the government, which is again within our campus. So students, if they're opting for any kind of undergrad or postgraduate sports-related programs, can take the benefit of this. But this also means that student who's interested in any kind of sports-related activities for the lifestyle purposes, maybe, they can also take the benefit of this particular center. We have the largest facility on campus, which is the NHS facility, which means that the students and the parental concerns are usually taken care of. Any kind of medical aid required can definitely take the benefit of this. And that again becomes a platform for the students to kind of, procure any kind of part-time opportunities, if any. Safe environment. Scotland and Edinburgh is ranked number 1 when it comes towards the safe city. Moving further. Galashiels campus. This is the second campus after Edinburgh, which is known as Scottish Borders. Galashiels is the name of the location. So from Edinburgh to Scottish Borders or Galashiels, The distance is roughly 1.5 hours, single way distance from A to B. And there are in-house bus facilities available for the students in a scheduled format to opt for at no cost. The school is basically one of the oldest textile schools in the world. And again, the campus itself was once upon a time an old textile mill, which has now been converted and refurbished to a campus for the use of the international students. The location is such that it is a hub of the textile industry. And majorly, we focus on delivering programs, which is focusing majorly towards fashion and textile design, fashion and textile management, which major interior and architecture, design management, digital innovation and design. So the idea of this particular campus is majorly promoting a lot of creativity, sustainability, and at the same time, for any fashion related courses, we are majorly focusing on identifying the right fabric, weaving, knitting, sewing, and quite a lot of active workshops are also, a part of the teaching environment altogether. Fun fact, Burberry, the famous Burberry check, that is from Scotland, from Edinburgh, and Heriot Watt is to an extent associated to that as well. Very recently, in 2012, Chanel had acquired the school, and that's how the funding comes through as well. Orkney campus, that's the third campus within Edinburgh, within Scotland, sorry. It's basically a home to the island technology, and that's where the location itself speaks. It's majorly focusing on curriculums being delivered towards marine sciences. Our flagship program over here is majorly Masters in International Marine Sciences, wherein students basically go through a very strong practical learning. And if you see the picture to the right, the first one, it itself speaks that the students are practically within the sea, within the ocean, to kind of, collect samplings as the practical learning to submit as a part of the project. And most of the research which is conducted is majorly towards the consultancies and majorly towards the government. So that's where I meant with the previous slide. Research has contributed to the sector. This is the most important and the most interesting slide because we are ranked in top 5 in Scotland, majorly for the graduate prospects. 96% of students usually get employed in different sectors and different roles with different skill sets in the first 6 months upon graduation. And as per the data privacy policy, we do have the rights to flash these names on a public forum like this. This slide and the coming slide basically gives you an idea about the diversity of the industries that the Heriot Watt graduates have managed to get into. So you name any industry, let's say, for example, the petroleum, maybe we've got Shell. You name the IT industry, we probably got Dell, SAP. You want to talk about the luxury brand, we've got L'Oreal. You want to talk about the finance or, the business industry altogether, we've got the big fours. And moving to the next slide, this is going to give you more information about that. You want to talk about the automobiles, we've got Rolls-Royce, we've got Merck, we've got BMW. This is the slide which gives an understanding about how diverse the graduates are. And if any one of you is pretty much active on LinkedIn, probably you can just go to the home page of Heriot Watt, check under the alumni tab, hit on the date range as per your requirements, and that gives you an understanding that the students are not just placed within Edinburgh or within Scotland. The course is such globally advanced and accepted that the students are actually placed at different continents in different cities. So that is the diversity, and that's where I meant with the 4 parameters: globalization, employability. Talking about the sectors and the industries in Scotland, I can give you one classic example. For example, if I have to go as a tourist, I would want tourist, meaning tourism and hospitality as one of the sectors. Food and beverage comes through. Scotland is known, and beverage industry is very strongly contributing to the Scottish economy, because most of the beverages are made, and when I say beverages, I mean liquor to an extent, that is again made in Scotland, and our flagship program is brewing and distilling, which leads to the drinking sector altogether. We've got fisheries because of the topography is such, and because of the nature of the country for that matter, it supports the industry, which is majorly towards agriculture, fisheries, breweries, infrastructure development. So that comes majorly towards construction as well. Manufacturing, that's one of the most promising industries, majorly towards the engineering sector, because Very recently, there has been an announcement, that we are foreseeing quite a lot of opportunities coming into the manufacturing segment. And it comes in top 10 for that matter. And it's overtaken France as one of the European countries as well. So I can give you the sources on request if required. Fintech is the next industry which is coming up. So any students who are looking for an undergrad or a master's course related to fintech, we've got a handful of courses to look into basis of the qualifications, then we can probably check. Insurance, asset servicing, consultancy, advisory related roles within the finance industry or financial services is the next sector to look into. For example, any student who is a graduate in accounting or finance related course, and if at all it's looking for an auditing related job, that's again one of the roles which is highly paid and again in demand across the globe for that matter. So every sector practically is there in Scotland. And that's where usually students need to probably diverse, because the competition comparatively is less. And, Scotland is one of the countries which is pretty much promising when it comes to the job opportunities for the students, of course, basis of the skill set as well. Moving further about Heriot Watt, we've got 5 schools in total. Aegis, namely, which is majorly focusing on School of Energy, Geoscience, Infrastructure and Society. The picture itself speaks about number 1 ranked in the UK for building. So we've got courses majorly on construction project management, civil engineering, commercial management and quantity surveying and related courses. The second picture or the second school is EPS, School of Engineering and Physical Sciences. The picture itself speaks robots. So data science, robotics, artificial intelligence, software engineering. These are the kind of courses that are basically running in there. Third school is Max, School of Mathematics and Computer Sciences. Our flagship program to this also is majorly actuarial sciences. So most of the courses towards that is being run in this school. SOS and EBS, which is the fourth school, that is School of Social Sciences and Edinburgh Business School. So when I say a School of Social Sciences, sports psychology, business psychology. Edinburgh Business School, meaning marketing, finance, accounting related subjects majorly are being taught in there. And of course, the fifth and the final school is School of Textile and Designing. So interior architecture, any creative related course, which is again towards more of design. That's the kind of course that we offer in there. These are some of the courses on a master's level that we are running for the Jan intake, because there are usually 2 intakes in the academic cycle. For undergrads, it's majorly the September 2024 intake for which the portals have opened up. And in case if any of you is looking for any of these courses, it is definitely available for the January intake as well. So a student who is a complete graduate is more than welcome to come in. Portals are open. Offers are usually released in less than 5 working days. And there are scholarships as well, which I'll talk about in the coming slides. We do not have any undergrad courses in the Jan intake. So for the masters, any student who has achieved as less as 55% is more than welcome to come on board. As high as 60% and more is again the academic qualification required. And in case the traditional requirement is to have an English test in hand, which is IELTS, PT or TOEFL. But in case if any of you has achieved a 75 in English in 12, any board, as long as it's not an open board, and a recent graduate in the past 2 years could be eligible for an IELTS waiver. There's something known as an immigration check interview that we do before the fee payment stage, but after the offer stage for all the students. That is basically to check your motive, and of course to evaluate your English command on the language. But that also becomes a platform for most of the students to resolve on their queries towards their academic journey overall. The tuition fees for the master's level for the Jan intake is ranging as less as £19,000 to as high as £26,000 to £27,000. We have managed to get certain scholarships in place, which is ranging between £1,500 to £3,000 basis of the academic profile. This is a quick clip for your understanding about what exactly Heriot Watt is. I'll just take another 2 minutes and then probably we can be live for the question and answer round.
I think you need to share the computer sound, Errol.
Sorry, come again, Ranveer.
We can't hear you.
Am I
I mean,
audible?
no, we can't hear the audio.
Audio clip? I
Yeah,
think
I
there's
think,
some technical thing.
okay.
Not a problem. I'll probably send you the clip if
Okay,
that's okay with
no
you.
problem. Otherwise, it's dotted under the more button. You can share computer sound.
Fair enough. I think I did try, but yes, there's
Okay.
some technical
Fine.
glitch.
Okay,
Sorry for that.
no problem. I think that's been informative and quite concise, covering the wide range of scholarships and most importantly courses. We encourage our students to and maybe a few parents who have joined to post your question or just raise your hand. I think that may be faster for a live Q&A. It's meant to be a short 45 minutes, 1 hour max session. So I think this one of the questions which I guess Falik had put up was looking for possible range of scholarships. I do know obviously full scholarships are typically awarded mainly by Chevening and other British government agencies, and most universities don't have. Perhaps you can just cover what kind of scholarships are available either at the university level or department level for postgraduate students briefly.
So it's majorly on the department level. For the September 24 intake, we are working on the scholarships.
Okay.
But more or less, I assume it should be similar, but announcements will be made for the same shortly. But again, as I said, it's majorly on the school, it's majorly on the faculty, and it's also focusing on the tuition fee range as well. We
Right.
offer scholarships as less as £1,500 to as high as £3,000. But
Right.
one parameter, which is going to be definitely a reason to award the student, would be on the academics. There is no substitute to academics as yet.
Right.
So any student who has achieved 60% and above in the last academic qualifications could be entitled for a scholarship, and it will be directly reflected on the offer letter and the CAS board.
Right. So 60% cutoff in your bachelor's degree.
Yes.
It is either a 3-year or a 4-year degree, irrespective of whether it's state or national or private. They would be eligible for these scholarships.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think you mentioned on the medium of instruction there is some flexibility. If you can just remind us how much in the class 12 English is that?
Sure. So actually there are 2 to 3 answers in that, or rather 3 clusters in that. We do come across students who are recent graduates. For those kind of students who have graduated in the span of last 2 years, with a 75 and above in English in 12, any board, as long as it's not an open board, example NIOS,
Right.
they could be eligible for an MOI.
Right.
There is a template which I can forward on request.
Please.
Once the document is in that template, we can consider the student. The second category of students are usually working professionals.
Okay.
So any working professional, again, with a grade 12, English, 75 and above, but having work experience as a confirmed employee in an MNC, multinational, could again be considered for an English waiver. So for working professionals, the document, same meaning, but the document is termed as MOC, medium of communications. For academic students, as a fresher, it is MOI, medium of instruction. Same thing. The only point of contact is going to be different, who's going to be issuing this documentation. So for working professionals, it's going to be the HR who can write an email to us directly from their domain, and probably we can consider that if the student is qualifying the requirements.
Okay, that certainly helps. And any question on or any issues regarding backlogs? I guess Amulya, perhaps you have not mentioned what is it that you wish to do. If you wish, you can come online and.
So for the backlogs, I can see that in the chat box as well. That's a question come from one of the candidates. We do accept maximum backlogs of 10 in total in the entire academic qualification.
Okay.
We do not accept Duolingo. It is traditionally IELTS, PTE, or TOEFL. Again, these are all center-based examinations which are acceptable. No home edition tests accepted as such.
Okay. Maria, if you wish, you can come online and have a follow-up question based on what your background is and what your proposed course. I think postgraduate at MSc Data Science and AI. That's what was her query from Bangalore. Done state board, BSc.
So I can also see someone has asked me about the details for the Artificial Intelligence Master's Program.
Right.
So again, 2 ways to answer to that. If the student is coming with a relevant academic discipline, the course that we are offering for the January intake and for the September intake is a 1-year full-time master's degree course into artificial intelligence. In case if the student comes with a non-academic discipline of that kind, they can be eligible for an MSc in AI, 2 years master's course, but only in September intake, nothing in Jan intake for them to offer. So that's what is going to be about the course. The duration changes because the entire target audience changes accordingly. But if you could please elaborate a little more about what exactly would you like to know about AI, probably I can give you a crisp answer to that.
Sure, sure. Yeah, you can come online, Sophia. If you wish, you can unmute yourself. She had put down a query for.
Actually,
go ahead. Yeah.
Ma'am, actually, I wanted to know about the SPAN and in artificial intelligence master's program. What will be the content that would be taught on the?
Okay, so Sophia, what I can do is there is a curriculum link which I can share it with you that gives you a little more detailed information about what is then officially available on the website. So that gives you a little more detailed information, like say, for example, what are the modules being offered? What is the weightage to each of these modules? Probably who's going to be the professor who's likely to teach you? Which modules are compulsory, which of them are optional at which semester, you know? But just to give you an understanding about the curriculum, if it's a 12-month program, it's usually a tri-semester program that we've got, out of which 2 semesters is going to be taught. Third semester, whatever you've studied has to be documented in the form of a Word dissertation. That's how it's a credit-bearing course. A total of 180 is going to fetch you a master's degree course. But with regards to the curriculum part, I think it's best if I share that link with you. That will be helpful for you to kind of do your own research, and that answers your question on the module front.
Perhaps you can just highlight the eligibility aspect.
Any candidate with a 55% and above in their undergrad course will be welcome. With a standardized English test, more than welcome to that. In case if she's eligible for an MOI, maybe she could be eligible for a waiver as well then.
And you need to have a relevant background for a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
Or BTech in computer science or AI or something similar.
Yes.
Okay. I can see she's in Sage University in Satara's residing there. Any further questions, Sophia? Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. If unfortunately we could not clear IELTS or any of the proficiency English tests, then would we be eligible for the admission process?
Okay, so help me if I've understood this question, if I've heard it right. In case if you've not given a language test is what you're asking, right?
Yeah, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so technically, because you're an international student, you need that in case if you're not eligible for an English waiver. Because this is, I think, a universal thing required for any student going overseas for their further studies at any level of study. So it's advisable to give it as a pinch of salt. Please do that, because in the future, when you're shifting from the work visa to the student visa to the work visa, you anyways have to give an IELTS test. So if you already, but the module differs, of course. The purpose at the moment is a little different than what it will be in the future, hopefully. But it gives you an experience, overall, and you already know your areas of improvement to work on. So I will very strongly advise you to take this as a requirement, and probably attempt for an IELTS test rather than looking for a waiver. Keep your waiver as a backup.
Right. And obviously send us your documents, Sophia, based on your class 12 results, if there's any possibility with a cutoff of 75% in English. Are you a working professional or are you a recent graduate?
I'm a student. I'm a BTech student. I will be graduating in September.
Okay, fine. So you can send us your documents on the email which I've shared in the chat, and you're looking for September intake, right? Like next year.
Yeah, sir. Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you for your query. I have a question.
Thanks, Sophia.
Again, just regarding scholarships, we've not put his ear. I guess it's a phone with an Oppo Remo. If you can clarify which subject you're interested in. Otherwise, I think we have already mentioned, broadly speaking, the PG scholarships of up to £3,000 you mentioned.
Yep, £3,000 specific to the school.
Right. Okay. If you wish, you can come online, person with the Oppo phone, and perhaps give us a background of what you're interested. You can unmute yourself if you wish. We have a question from Maisha Khan. I'm currently in 12th. Want to pursue forensics.
what is the scope
What
in the
scope,
UK and which specialization is
and
better?
I guess perhaps the eligibility too, if you could indicate.
So talking, I think I'll go in reverse. Eligibility
Okay.
point of view, I will very strongly advise you to focus on your academics. Don't stress yourself out, because for any undergrad course, usually a 75 to 80% overall is a requirement. Within that, also try and keep the best of 4 subjects, preferably English as one of the best of 4 subjects. That's going to be my suggestion, so that in case if you score 80 and above in English in 12th or a 75 and above in English in 12th, you could be eligible for a waiver. That's one. And now, when you talk of forensic science, there are multiple options in that. So do you have a specific subject in your mind or anything that's in your mind? If you, I'll appreciate if you could please unmute and probably,
Nice.
talk about it.
I can request you to unmute and perhaps give a background. You mentioned you're a class 12 student or looking for an undergraduate degree starting Jan or September next year. Or if you want, you can just put it in the chat. You can give us your background as to what subjects you've taken in class 12. Fine, we'll probably have to take that offline.
Exactly.
Fine. All right.
No worries.
So I guess related to the English language requirement, Kamal, perhaps you can just elaborate IELTS and the MOI aspect.
Sure. So just to give you a heads up, in case if the student is looking for an undergrad, IELTS overall 6 with nothing less than 5.5 is a requirement, whereas for postgrad it's 0.5 higher, 6.5 overall with a 6 in each element. That's usually the requirement for IELTS. For PT, it's going to be, we've risen the PT requirements this time. For undergrads, it's an overall of 65 with a 60 in each, and for postgrads, it's 73 with a 67 in each. It's pretty complicated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just send you the link in the chat box.
Yeah, the chat that may be easiest.
That becomes easy for everyone. Probably you can just quickly check what level of study are you looking at, and probably you can then just, that gives you a detailed understanding.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Can I submit the English proficiency letter from my universities instead of IELTS?
So that's exactly what is equivalent to an MOI that I was talking about. In case if you're a recent graduate,
with 75%
with a 75 in English in 12th, you could be eligible for one MOI. Probably either you can get a document which says that your medium of instruction has been in English, or in your academics, it's usually advisable to submit a transcript, because that answers most of the, admission related concerns. For example, your grading scale is covered, your subjects are covered in each semester that you've studied. It also gives me an input about the backlogs in case if at all you've got any. The MOI statement is mentioned, medium of instruction is English. So, 4-5 aspects are already covered in that one single documentation. It's a paid document, but always beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks.
I would encourage you, Faik, to send your docs since you're looking for next year.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Okay. And you were keen on industrial production or industrial engineering master's courses, is it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Fine.
Great.
Hi, Hiral. For Maisha, I just wanted to check with you. She's my student. She's currently pursuing class 12 with physics, chemistry, bio, and psychology. And she is looking for either forensic science or forensic science with psychology. So she's interested to know more related programs.
I was speculating on that, because when you say forensic science, it's actually a direct lead way towards psychology. That's what I wanted to probably just double check before I give any information. If she's taking psychology as one of her subjects, that becomes my second best subject to look into, because that's the core subject.
She's expecting 90%.
Sorry?
She's expecting 90% overall.
I totally trust her. I trust her. I trust her preparations. At the end of the day, it's the moderations and the marks that is printed on the mark sheet. So
yes,
I think I'll put it that way. But yeah, I think to be very clear, I think 80% and above would be the most preferred, because if you're looking for psychology with forensic science, that's again one of the professions in demand. 3 years, 4 years down the line, of course, job opportunities will prevail for her. The only thing is that she needs to procure a proper license in order to practice independently. Again, very technical. But again, because she's going for a very theory-based program with a little bit of elements of practical, she can get the benefit of going through an inter-campus transfer route as well, in case if she's pretty keen on exploring different mindsets and different cultures. So she can probably start with Malaysia or Dubai and end her curriculum, which is a 3 years traditional course, maybe in UK, and get the benefit of 2 years of stay back. If she's looking for psychology, it is again a very professional BPS accredited course. So the last 2 years are expected and suggested to complete in the UK for sure to be qualified for the BPS process. In terms of the academic requirements, if she manages to hold on within 80% and above, she can also get a lateral entry, which means a year 2 entry, which will again save out on her 1 year of time, money, and energy, all 3 factors. So
Yeah, she's looking for that only, and she's looking for UK.
not a problem at all. So yeah,
Okay.
these are the subjects. If you want, I can probably share the link with you as well in the chat box. That gives you an
Please.
understanding about the diversity of the modules. So again, year 1 is going to be 100% theory. Year 2, you have certain new elements, new subjects followed by practicality. And year 3 is wherein your modules are comparatively less, but more of practicals. The teaching and the assessment is going to be in a very interactive format for the students to look into. And because we've also got NHS within our campus, in case if she's looking for any part-time opportunities, hopefully NHS is the largest employer in the UK.
Yeah.
You never know, that can be a gateway for her to get further absorbed, basis of her merit and skill set both.
Right, great. You mentioned about a license. So is it difficult to get that license, or will she be eligible to apply for that?
She should be eligible to apply for it if at all she manages to complete her last 2 years in the UK, because it's a BPS accredited course. I wouldn't say it's difficult. I'll say it's very competitive, because thanks to COVID, we've seen quite a lot of students, again, on an undergrad and a master's level, showing their interest to study a psychology course. And that's exactly why I said sometime back, it's one of the most in-demand professions across the globe.
Okay.
Career prospects for her could be majorly, so when I talk about the license, it's basically HCPC, who is the council who provides the licenses, basis of the clinical hours. NHS is there on board, so she can act as a volunteer, maybe as an intern, maybe as an observer, and build her clinical hours while she's already doing her studies. And hopefully after her graduation, she can also manage to, get into consultancy and related roles under a team of seniors and doctors, so that, she can build her clinical hours to obtain the license, which is her next long-term goal. So it's a route, which again, I can give you certain resources to study on, and probably she can start working in there. But we've got a dedicated help desk within our campus as well to support the students on a real-time basis.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Please,
I'll
last
share
query
that
on-
with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps any application fees for any particular programs?
Not at all, not a single penny
Well,
for any of these
okay.
courses, be it for
Fine.
undergrads, be it for masters. In
Okay.
fact, for undergrads, we accept direct applications also in case of the
Okay.
UCAS route is not there.
Okay, that's good to know. Fine. Perhaps we can just wrap up with, especially for deadlines as far as Jan intake courses for students. I know there are many for Jan and some for September. Any application deadlines and CAS deadlines, and any deposits, if any?
So deposits are welcome. Technically, we're working on the deadlines once again, but personally speaking, I will encourage you to keep 15th of December as the 15th of November as the deposit deadline, 30th of November as a CAS request deadline.
Okay.
Considering the fact that December as an entire month is going to be a festival month,
Yeah.
and operational challenges may follow. That is again not just on the compliance front, but also in terms of the VFS and the availability of the visa officers for the visa dates. So try a level best for an early closure,
Right,
and start working in finances technically from now, because we've got
Sure.
practically a month to go for holding
Right,
the finances
Right.
as per the UKVI requirements.
Any deposits for the CAS?
£4,000,
Okay.
but we can accept students specifically who have only deposit as one of the outstanding conditions. We can accept students to make a payment of £1,000 at the moment to reserve their seat, with a window period of another 5 days to 7 days to make the balance £3,000 payment.
Okay. fine. That's just good to know. So we can just work backwards. Anyone? I think probably at least 10, 15 of you were interested for Jan. So perhaps we can just reach out to all of them and have an offline discussion and see if there's anything at a broader level for Jan or September, which we need to be aware of. Or are you
I think just focus on the deadlines and focus on the
Yeah.
timelines, because
Right.
in the last intake, we did observe that there were certain visa
Okay.
delays as well, especially
right.
for students who made an end-moment application.
Right.
And, so just focus on the deadlines, connect with the
Right.
respective counselors, draw a timeline, and ensure
Right.
you're before
Right.
time ready so that you don't face a stressful period at the end of the
Right.
closure of the intake.
Right. Fine. I can just final question from Faik Kamal again. 75% plus in graduation. Do I still need to do IELTS? After 10th,
Okay.
he has done a diploma in engineering. I guess he
So-
meets the MOI requirement, at least in principle, does he?
Technically, no, because in order to be considered for an MOI, you need to have
Okay.
grade 12.
Okay, grade 12, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So he's done, if
Okay.
I'm not wrong, I think what I'm understanding is correct. I think he's done
Yeah.
10 plus 3, that is
10
10th
plus
diploma
3.
and then
That's right. That's right.
engineering. So
Okay.
regardless, he has to make sure
I
that he
think-
gives an English test.
Right. I think that answers your question, because you've done a diploma and there's no English subject in the diploma, presumably.
But because he's got 75 and above in his
Mm.
entire qualification of
In
studies, he
graduation.
could be eligible for a scholarship as well.
Okay.
So don't get upset.
Right. So you win some, lose some. Okay.
True.
So I'll just put it in the chat. There's enough time for September anyway, so I would encourage you to do that.
Portals have opened up, so try your level best that, because we're usually releasing offers in less than 1 week's time.
Right.
Try a level best that you kind of getting done with your IELTS examination, preferably before New Year's this year. Jan to March, you have sufficient time to prepare for your finances if you're an early applicant. April onwards, usually the castlings are released. So if you have the ready finances and if you're a complete graduate, probably you can launch an early visa and get free.
Right. So with any final questions, just raise your hand. Otherwise, I think we'll just wrap up and we'll follow up with all the inquiries people who have attended today and perhaps the ones who were not able to, and share the recording with them. Thanks for your time, Cyril, and
Anytime.
been useful for the deadlines and the updates. If possible, you can share us the PPT for our reference, and we can share it selectively with some students or some information which is contained there.
I will do so after this session for sure.
All right.